Hello and welcome to the 10th episode of the Power of Sourcing 2024. I'm Andrew, Head of Marketing at Matchr, and today I'll be your host. I'm super excited to introduce our today's guest, Brian Fink, Talent Acquisition Partner at McAfee. Brian, welcome on stage. Hello.
Hey, what's going on, Andrew? How are you today?
I'm well. I'm good. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing great too. I'm super excited to be a part of this. I'm really glad that you and Adrian could ask me to be a part of this series. We've had some great presenters, we've had some great educators thus far, and I hope I can live up to the bar that some of them have set for in terms of expectations and deliverables to the crowd today. So excited to be here.
We are super happy to have you today, and thank you very much for jumping on this webinar, let's say in the last moment. Thank you very much for this. Yeah, so
Awesome.
before we start, we have one question for you that we ask to all our presenters.
Oh,
So
yeah, that's right.
if you had a sourcing superpower, which one would you choose?
I would choose clairvoyance because I would like to know the future before it happens. And I'd like to be able to tell a candidate, if you take this role, this is what's going to happen to you. This is how your career is going to grow. This is how you're going to flourish as an individual. I'd love to have clairvoyance and be able to speak with that absolute certainty because, so much of what we do when we're sourcing candidates, it's speculative. When we're talking to candidates, it's speculative. um, I'd like a little assurance there. I'd like a little. I'd like a little. I'd like a little to go on. Right.
Great choice. I assume this super great choice. So before we start with your presentation, I'd like to say a couple of words to our sponsor, Deal, to say thank you for making this webinar series possible. I have a very short video. I invite you to watch it with us.
Great.
Work's gone global, but until now, no HR platform has been able to handle everything for everyone. Some teams have to use up to 16 different tools to make things work. Deal's the future of global HR, and it's the only platform that works for your team wherever they are, whatever their status. Easily handle international hiring, payroll, and HR with one powerful platform. Hire contractors and employees worldwide, even if you don't own an entity. Once you find a candidate, onboard them with a localized contract and a visa if needed. We even provide powerful salary insights so you can be sure your offer's competitive, and we'll automatically collect any necessary compliance documents. Get your team set up fast with built-in background checks, equipment, WeWork passes, and effortless app access. Then manage the entire worker lifecycle through one central HR platform designed with global teams in mind. Plus, handle time off, promotions, and bonuses all in a few clicks. Deal integrates with any tool to help keep your data and workflows synced. You'll get a first-of-its-kind worldview of your entire team's headcount, payroll, and productivity in one place. On payday, consolidate payroll for contractors, international, and local employees. We'll take care of the contractor invoicing, plus employee taxes, benefits, pay slips, and more. Deal has everything you need to run a global team efficiently, and it's the only platform built for everyone and everything, everywhere. Learn how Deal can simplify your global team needs at deal.com.
All right,
Wow, what a
Brian.
great sponsor that's truly making the workplace a global environment. Thanks, Deal. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, and it's such a pleasure to work with their team. Such a cool guys, such a cool brand, and overall, yeah, really good, great company. Brian, the floor is yours.
Oh no, it's my turn to go and to do this thing. All right. So let's get ready. All right. Let's go. Well, hey, everybody. My name is Brian Fink. I'm going to talk about taking your LinkedIn to the next level with this next level LinkedIn webinar for Matchr. I'm really excited about the prospects that we have in front of us, the things we're going to do today. Hint, hint, you just need a web browser if you want to follow along with me. You can do this on your phone. You don't have to have LinkedIn Recruiter. That's not the rabbit hole we're going down today. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to leverage internal LinkedIn search. That's right. We're going to use the search bar, as I refer to it as the almighty search bar at the top of the screen to really find the people we're looking for in some unique and interesting places that are typically not uncovered when you're just doing a LinkedIn Recruiter or LinkedIn Sales Navigator search. Like I said, we're going to be using free LinkedIn or freemium because at the end of the day, we're the data, okay? And then we're going to start exercising search engines. We're going to use 3 search engines today: DuckDuckGo, Bing, and Google. And we may, and a shout out to my friend Ronnie Matchr, a great mentor, we may also see what those results look like when you use different browsers from different locations around the world. And then finally, if we've got enough time, I want to take all your questions and I want to roll them into a freestyle sourcing jam. So that's what we're up to today. All right, so who am I? Andrew gave a great introduction. I'm going to be really quick. I'm at McAfee Security. I'm excited that I could be here today, that they have secured the internet in a way that makes it hospitable for people to be free to their identity and their true self. Speaking of their true self, my pronouns are he, him, his. I hope that you'll also embrace your pronouns as we're coming off of a great International Women's Month. And as we're moving into another month where we're expecting a bigger conversation around gender norms, and inclusivity in the workplace. About inclusivity in the workplace, that's my jam. I love to hit on that. So that is something that we're definitely going to talk about today. Not necessarily an agenda item, but something I'm going to sneak in there. So real quick, we are going to use a little bit of Boolean. And the Boolean terms that occur with the first 5 and or not, quotation marks and parentheses, we're going to use those pretty regularly, routinely, whether we're inside of LinkedIn or whether we're out surfing the web. We are probably not going to use the wild card, which can infiltrate and act as a place saver or a wild card, if you will. The Joker is wild, to let us find that information which we don't have a notification or the clairvoyance to look for. Sequencing, it's when you look for a bunch of numbers in a row. As you know, Google limits you to 32 search terms. So how can you put in all these different numbers? Well, you put them in a sequence and you go 501, like the blue jean, ... 529, and it counts all the numbers in between. And that doesn't take up 29 or 31 of your search terms. We're also going to reflect on using the in-title command and in-URL command. In-title lets us know what the title of the page is and different words that appear in that title of that page. The URL, got to give a shout out to my brother from another mother, Eric Jakewith. Eric Jakewith really introduced me to using in-URL heavily to be able to find those individuals that are manipulating their URL to keep information hidden. We're also going to go into X-Ray. I know there's been some debate about whether X-Ray works or whether it doesn't work. I like to say X-Ray works until it doesn't work. So we're going to use a little X-raying today, but we're not going to use it exclusively on LinkedIn. No, we're actually going to go around LinkedIn and use the X-ray term in that fashion. Stick with me to the end. We're going to get there together. And then file type. We will not be using this type of search today, but a file type allows you to look for documents or PDFs or XLS or MP3s, different things that have been saved across the web. So this is a Boolean cheat sheet that I use routinely when I'm teaching courses or classes like this. And about courses or classes, I'm excited to let you also know that I'll be appearing at a number of events across the year. So if we don't catch up today, we can catch up in person at an event, or feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn and set up some time with me for my office hours. It's open doors. It's free to the public. I mean, it's free to you to come in, ask me your questions about what's going on with your career, your resume, or search techniques that maybe weren't clear here or aren't clear somewhere else. It's free, and I do that on Friday afternoons, usually from about 2 p.m. Eastern to 6 p.m. Eastern. So let's leverage the internal LinkedIn search. we're going to focus on using LinkedIn's internal advanced search functions. Now, I know what you're thinking. Advanced. Don't I pay for that? And the truth of the matter is you probably do, and you probably could get away with using the free search functions. We'll get to it, because free is for me. And if you have a question, don't hesitate to reach out to Andrew. I'm more than happy to kind of stop where I'm at and answer that question for you. Does that work for everybody? Awesome. All right. So this is my LinkedIn page. This is my home page. There's some things that are here that are important, and they're denoted by orange arrows. The first of which is I do have a premium seat. As you can see, I have LinkedIn Recruiter that is on the far right-hand side of the screen. I also have a tab or the dial button for business, which all of you have, and it allows you to access your groups and LinkedIn Learning if you're paying for a premium subscription. You can also see in the lower left-hand corner groups, which is a function where we're going to explore a little bit deeper what you can do in groups and how you can get your content cross-pollinated between your mainstream or that waterfall that occurs in the middle of the stream where Daniel Harton is. Wave to Daniel, everybody. And also shout out to Daniel. He just became a father for the 5th time. So make sure that you drop him a message and let him know that that you're thinking of him and his burgeoning family. And then finally, up at the top, we have what I refer to as the almighty search bar inside of LinkedIn. Now, this almighty search bar, you can do the 5 Boolean operators, the and, or, not, quotation marks, and parentheses in that search bar. What I want to let you know is the more terms you put in, the wonkier or wobblier or more inaccurate it actually becomes. Oh, and there's Taylor Swift in the middle. Shout out to my daughter. She's a huge Swiftie. So what we're going to start looking for today is we're going to look for developers and engineers. That's typically what I recruit for at McAfee. And we're going to have a conversation around that. But we're also going to dive into how you can use these search fundamentals to find anybody, whether it's a marketer or an account manager, a sales executive, operations individual, or payroll specialist. But what I want you to do, if you're following along, is the first thing I want you to do is type in the word developer into the almighty search bar. That's right. And these are the results that are going to come up for you. We've got developer groups, which we are not going to click on. In fact, we are not going to click on anything with a magnifying glass next to it, because that's what LinkedIn wants us to do. LinkedIn, much like Google, wants us to be happy with our search and with our search results. What we're going to do instead is we're going to see all the results. Okay? So when we see all the results, it pulls up an additional search bar. As you can see, there is a search bar or buttons that are at the top for jobs, people, groups, posts, courses, products, schools, events, companies, and services. We've got a short time together today, so I'm only going to unpack what I call the core 4, which are people, groups, courses, and events. And we're going to use them at scale, whether we've got LinkedIn Learning, and we'll show you how to access those learning courses for free. And we're going to show you how to access events for free, where you don't have to attend, but you can get the attendee list. Big ups, right? And we're going to talk about groups as well. But first, let's get started with people. I've denoted by the 3 arrows that we've jumped to the people button. That's with the orange arrow. There's a red arrow that occurs above actively hiring. Because I have a premium account, I can hit that button. That button is only going to appear on my screen or on a premium member's screen to find out who's actively hiring and who's attached to a requisition or an organization that is actively hiring. Because I said we were going to focus on free, I'm not going to be hitting that button today. But if you have questions or you want a demo, I'm more than happy to show you how it works. But then there's the yellow arrow that's pointing up, and that's to all filters. If you notice, you have connections where you can look and see who's a first connection, second connection, third connection. You can look by location. You can look by current company. But what's in all filters? Again, I want to call out, you've got in the premium feature, you've got a button for active hiring. you've got the first, third, connections of, follower of, locations. You've got all these filters. Actually, you only have 8 less filters than what you have in LinkedIn Recruiter and in Sales Navigator. And I'm going to go through those and show them to you today. But again, we're not going to be using the actively hiring feature. What I am going to do is I'm going to look for people who follow my friend, Joel Alge. If you don't know Joel and you're not following him, the guy's got a big heart and an even bigger funny bone. He is a recruiter, sourcer extraordinaire, and he is really focused on helping people bump up their conversation so that people know you and recognize you at top of funnel. So shout out to Joel. I want to find people who are followers of Joel. And so that button appears as an influencer, right? And as you can see in the URL at the top, this is linkedin.com/search/results/people. We could use an in URL if we wanted to, but this is using to find a very specific keyword of individuals, 11,000 people that follow Joel Alge who are also developers. Now, this may look familiar to those of you who are using LinkedIn Recruiter. Is I'm now going to set the location to United States. I could have added any other location. Manitoba, Canada, and Canada pop up routinely for me because I do a lot of recruiting in Canada as well as in India and the United States for McAfee, where I serve in a global capacity. Current company, I could search multiple current companies, but here I want to find people who live in the United States, who currently work at Amazon, who previously worked at Accenture, and follow Joel. So we have people who follow Joel, are in the United States, work at Amazon, and previously worked at Accenture. We only have 4 results, but that's a pretty nice or manageable set of individuals that we could reach out to that are developers. Now, again, I'm going to point out that we've got more features to go through because there are a lot of search functionality inside of LinkedIn Recruiter, but there's a lot of search functionality in LinkedIn Free. So we're going to reset the filters and we're going to scroll down a little bit. And you've got where you can look by school, by industry, by profile language. You've actually got a filter that you don't have inside of LinkedIn Recruiter, which is open to pro bono consulting and volunteering or joining a nonprofit board. There's an option that's given when you're setting up your profile to indicate that those are interests of yours. Service categories, software development, because we clicked on developer, it's going to kind of give us some of those topics first as self-generated. But if we scroll down to the bottom, there is a field where we can put in keywords in addition to the word developer that we have in the almighty search bar, which is indicating and matriculating our search down. Okay. So what we're going to do is we could put any name in that block. We could put Eric, we could put Joel, we could put Andrew, we could put Michelle, we could put Andrea, we could put any word there, right? Any name. We could put it as an or statement if we wanted to. We can get really specific with title. We can say that we're looking for a senior software engineer who previously was a developer because that word appears in his LinkedIn profile. That works for a specific company that went to a specific school. I'm going to use Paul or Jane and find people that are named Paul or Jane that are people. And again, I've got those company filters, the school, all those filters right there. But I want to change this up. I said I was going to slip in a little bit of diversity. Okay. Is that what if you are looking for individuals, not that look like females, but that identify as being female? What would their pronouns be? I suggested at the beginning of the call that my pronouns are he, him, his, right? When we respect a person's pronoun, we respect the identity that they embrace. So what we can do is we can go into last name and type in she or her or Ella or ella for girl or woman in Spanish, close parentheses, and there we come back with a list of individuals that all identify as female. This brings us to our first in-mail hack of the conversation. Who likes a good in-mail? I love a good in-mail, especially one that's not produced by AI. I noticed that there is a young lady or a person who identifies as female, Heather Parrott, she, her, and they've got a gold symbol next to their name. Now, this is one of the instances where the individual who has a gold symbol can activate an open network administration key very simply on their back end and say that they're open to receiving communications from anybody who notices they have the gold symbol. Wait. Hold on. They can receive a free in-mail if they have a gold symbol. That is what I just said. So Heather, who is a second connection to me, I'm not connected to her, has the gold symbol there on the screen. And if we go into the More menu, it says Message Heather. It doesn't say send Heather an in-mail. It says Message Heather. At the bottom of the screen, it says free message because Heather is a premium member. Why? Well, LinkedIn, thank you so much for letting us know. I mean, because they clearly tell us how everything works. 4 months ago, open profile messages. Open profile premium feature allows anyone on LinkedIn to contact a premium member for free, even if they're not in the sender's network. All LinkedIn members can see the full profile of premium members who have enable an open profile. In order to be an open profile member, you must have a premium subscription. It's almost like people are paying for you to send them a message. Okay. Let's go on to groups, the second of the core four. There are about 11,000 results for groups that have developers. I'm going to go into one of my groups that has about 520,000 members. It's developers, Androids, iOS, blockchain, Ethereum, Java, Ruby, .NET, PHP, the Django, etc. Now, what you've got here is you've got an active group. Please note there's a difference. There are groups that are not active. An active group has typically 10 to 12 posts a day. So what you can do is you can start a post in this group. It can be the same post that you have on your LinkedIn feed, but instead it's going to be distributed to all 513,388 members of this group. You've got your admins for the group. That's cool and whatever. But next to that orange arrow, you have the words show all. In-mail hack number 2 is that you've got this search bar at the top. Who knows what we're going to do next? That's right. We are going to either message an individual for free, and you can just go down the line and message them for free, or we're going to get a little more creative. In fact, what we're going to do is we're going to put she or her, and it shows us people who have identified as female. We've got Vic Phillips, head of talent acquisition and culture. I'm going to hit the message button, and up comes a message. And it is a free message because we are the member of the same group. And that's in-mail hack number 2. Now, what about courses? You know, there's a lot of talk around LinkedIn and around skills networking and skills-based hiring. Courses are a great way to figure out who's taking what, who's learning how, and who's doing what with their spare time. Conversely, if I leave the word developer in the almighty search box, I come down and I see a variety of courses which I have not taken. There's one that jumps out, Global Data Stewardship. Mike Wolford, shout out to Mike. Mike did a great presentation for Matchr. And he's also the author of the AI Recruiter. Mike would probably want to take this course about global data stewardship. Just a hint, Mike, if you're bored, there's a class for you. With all filters, you can go down and you can see what software is being discussed, if it's the beginner level, intermediate, time to complete. You can sort through all those different features, right? But let's go back to the global data stewardship course, okay? Is that uniquely enough, we see that Stefan Verhulst is the creator of this course. Who follows him? Could we use the first section of this to see who follows Stefan? We could. We could also go to Stefan's profile using his name and his lookup. We see that he's got a newsletter that 10,000 people are subscribed to, that he has about 20,000 followers and 500 connections. We also see he has the gold symbol. So if we had a question about data stewardship, who better to ask than the person who wrote the course for it for LinkedIn? Now, what about events? Like the one we're at today. I know a few people that are here. I see them in the chat. I see Jenna. I see Nikki. I'm excited that you're all here. Thanks for coming. But about events, what can we do with events? So I've left the word developer in, and I've selected to find events. There looks like there was an event that happened or is happening on May 23rd at 11 a.m. Eastern by the Synthetic Data Factory. Ooh, that sounds scary. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Agile Data Challenges, Mastering the Landscape. Uh-oh. We don't have anything to go off of. All we have is a Google Meet link where we could go, and it's not a pay-to-play course, and we could go and we could meet with everybody who's in that course, and we could scrape it or what have you, or we could just click on the attendees list. But if you notice, that attendees list is not a hyperlink. So how do we make it a hyperlink? We click on attend, and then it instantly becomes a hyperlink where we can go in and look at the 327 attendees, right? And we can now go through the networking tab as well. This allows me to see who's available, who I can connect with, or who I can message for free that is attending the same event. Okay, we've spent the past 20 or so minutes exercising LinkedIn's free commands. What I want to do now is I want to shift gears and I want to use Google, Bing, and DuckDuckGo to discover LinkedIn profiles. Now we're going to do this directly and we're going to do this indirectly. All right. So what do I mean by that? Well, there are three searches that you should be familiar with. They're all site searches, which is also referred to as X-Ray, where we point Google or Bing or DuckDuckGo specifically at one or more sites or at a top level domain. Here, we are going to go into linkedin.com/in so we can see profiles. We're going to go into sitecommand.instagram.com so we can X-ray Instagram because I love making hires on Instagram. And then we're going to go site:/github.com so that we can find developers and engineers that have LinkedIn profiles and contact information at scale that we can work around and we can find in GitHub. All right. So for the next few slides, it's going to be a little tedious because I'm going to show you that there's a difference in the search functionality of each of these browsers, right? I mean, of each of these search engines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with linkedin.com/in on DuckDuckGo. And I'm going to be looking for a developer or engineer who knows Kubernetes. And Kubernetes is sometimes abbreviated as K8. So I put K8 or Kubernetes. So this is going to read to Google or Bing or DuckDuckGo is, hey, I'm looking specifically at LinkedIn profiles, yo, and I want to see developers or engineers who work with K8s or Kubernetes. Okay, so this is DuckDuckGo. DuckDuckGo sometimes pops up a little CAPTCHA that shows pictures of ducks and says identify the ducks to make sure that you're not using us to scrape the web. You might want to do that here. This gives one set of X-ray that is slightly different than what we have on Google. Notice we have many more results on Google, and our information is limited to the beginning of their profile, or is it? And then we have an even more baked out, more robust profile on Bing of our first finding on DuckDuckGo. Also, we've got about 142,000 results as opposed to our mere 6.8 million results on Google. But we're gonna strip this down a little bit. We're gonna make it a little more accurate. But before I do that, I want to ask you, do you think you'd have different results if you used a different browser? And this is a shout out to my friend Ronnie Matchr, who's done a lot of research on this. Get with Ronnie. He can show you how using different browsers with different search engines will bring you back different results at scale. Shout out to Ronnie. You know, Andrew, Ronnie is somebody that we should have involved with this next year. So we did the same search and we got a different set of search results and search rankings using the Safari browser on a Mac. We got slightly 500,000 more people on Google using a Safari browser. And we got nearly the same results when we were using a Safari browser on Bing. Interesting things to look at. And it bears that you use your curiosity, empathy, and tenacity to dig deeper into these results. So let's find some contact information, because I said I don't like to send in-mails, right? Or if I didn't say that, I'm going to say that now. I'm not a big fan of sending in-mails. The only reason I send them is because I want somebody to get a little ding on their phone, right? So if I send an email, I got to have that clairvoyance to find their email address. So what I want to add to the string is open parentheses, quotation marks at gmail.com, close quotes, because I want to find everybody's got a Gmail address, or people have an iCloud address, and I'm going to put that in quotes at iCloud.com, close quotes, or maybe they use a Yahoo address, and I'm going to use quotes at yahoo.com, close quotes, close parentheses. And I'm going to use that to finding emails. And this is what our string is going to look like in totality. Please note, I still have less than 32 terms. So I'm in DuckDuckGo, and I have found individuals that have a Gmail or a Yahoo or an iCloud address that are a developer that have experience with K8s or Kubernetes. I have 2,800 results of individuals that have that experience on Bing. And I have 26,000 results, or almost 27,000 results on Google. And please note, there's been a lot of talk about what's going to be X-rayed and what's going to be indexed, right? As you look at Humble Shamarala from Broadcom Software, they have K8's Kurlala at gmail.com as right there in their profile. Super simple to get, right? But simplicity is not 27,000 profiles. I think we can all agree on that, right? Even Dave Marr would agree with me on that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add geography. I'm going to add Austin, Texas to our search string. And then with DuckDuckGo, I've got people who are software developers in Austin, Texas, who have that Gmail, Yahoo, or iCloud email address. I've got about 137 results of individuals that have this experience that we're looking for in Microsoft and Bing. And then I've got about 626 results. Please note, tighter results in Bing, but I've got that Gmail address, those different identifiers. I've got Gmail, I've got a phone number for Ramesh. I'm getting at the crux, I'm getting at the core of what is supposed to have been dissipated by the decline or deprecation of X-Ray. I know. I mentioned Instagram and GitHub. I said that I would use them to find people on LinkedIn. So I'm going to go site:instagram.com, and I'm going to put in quotes, linkedin.com/in/ quotes, to look for Instagram profiles that have LinkedIn links embedded in them. I have 252,000 people on Instagram that have a LinkedIn profile attached to their Instagram profile. Let's go developer engineer, shall we? I have 13,700 results of individuals that are developers or engineers on LinkedIn and on Instagram. I'm going to go one step further, and I'm going to just say I want to find people who have Gmail addresses that are on LinkedIn via their Instagram profile. Okay, I got 967 results. Right? We could employ a simple web scraper to pull all this into our CRM. I am going to go into Max Ladchuk. There's Max. He's only made 6 posts. He has maxim.ladchuk@gmail. He has a link to his LinkedIn profile. I guess if we had used we used developer and engineering, and it found those because of how that stems. But now let's do GitHub, okay? And I am being mindful of the time because I want to take your searches and I want us to break them open. Is that I'm going to go site command github.com, and I'm going to use linkedin.com/n in quotation marks as my search term, and I'm going to find developer or engineer with a Gmail address. Now, before I go to the next slide, there is a list that is populated in a lot of chat forums on side of GitHub about who's hiring and who's looking each month. And that's what we're going to attack. We're going to attack who wants to be hired. This is in the Next.js tree. This is a discussion for people looking for work. You have to give your location, your remote, willing to relocate, technologies, your CV, your website, and your email. And it will bring back individuals with that information. All right, that's it, crew. That's our time together so far. You can find me on TikTok, Twitter. I'm not calling it X. I worked for Twitter. Peloton at @TheBrianFink. You can find me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/n, because that shows you your profiles, /Brian Fink. You can find me on Instagram or Threads at @TheBrianFink77, or coming to you live now with my 4th Substack, or my 4th issue on the Substack at forwardmotion@substack.com. That's what I got. That's where we're at. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of all ages, let us jam. All right. Andrew, I'm pulling up my tabs. I'm gonna flip back and forth between this screen and another. Give me 1 second so that we can jam on. I am working on one monitor today, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends of all ages. There we go. I see Tashita Riki, shout out to Joel. Thanks everybody for being with me. I'm going to stop sharing momentarily and just say, hey, what questions do we have? I am here to work on your searches with you for the next 20 minutes.
Great presentation. Let's see whether we have some questions on the chat. Great webinar. Some great comments. Let's wait a little bit. Please ask your questions. Now we'll have great live session from Brian.
Yeah, and look, while we're waiting to go live, while we're waiting on those questions, I like to be sneaky about paywalls. I think everybody's discovered this thus far, right? So I want to drop out just, we're dropping a few gems here, right? Let's how would you like for us to share our searches? Okay, Irma, great question. Irma, you can do it one or two ways. You can drop it in the chat, or you can send me a DM on LinkedIn, and I can start by doing the searches that way. It's completely up to you. You let me know. I have the gold symbol, so it's a free message on the linkedin.com. Dun, 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 dun.
Brian, while we are waiting for the questions, I see some new comments. Thank you from Irma. While we are waiting for the questions, maybe you can show us some interesting tricks or hacks or about how we can search, or maybe what do you think? What can you show us?
You know, let me give you a little preview of something I'm working on. Okay, it's not what we were going to do today. So those of you who showed up, you get to see something different. Those of you who didn't show up, you don't get to see anything different. This is not going to be in the slide deck, so we're gonna have to pay attention. I'm going to okay. Let's go to okay. I assume that everybody can see my desktop where it says 25 minutes time to focus.
Yeah.
I am going to go /github.com. And I said I was going to talk about in-URL, but I didn't get to it today. I'm going to put in-URL:resume. And this is a trick that I actually picked up from my friend Aaron Matthew, who I think was part of this event last year, is that in-URL resume is going to bring me GitHub profiles that have the word resume in them. And I'm going to look for just simple engineer. And there are about 1,900 results of people who have a resume embedded in their code on GitHub. How wild is that, right? And you know, like we look at this person, we see their certifications. The question then becomes Andrew saying, "Hey Brian, how do I connect with this person?" Well, there's a link to Nareem's website, nareem.me.resume. So I'm going to pull that open. And this is his resume. And this was not planned. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Nareem.me. And I'm going to go to whois.com. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the page. And I'm doing this to see if I can find out who owns Nareem.me. He bought it at Namecheap. It's protected for privacy, so we can't find that information. Let's go back a step. Maybe I went too far too quickly. Let's go and find Nareem.me. Oh, now we have a last name too. We've got his posts. We have his about me. And there we have an email button.
Email.
And down in the left-hand corner, I've got narenuday595@gmail.com, which is where I can email him and say, Nareem, I read about you on your blog. I noticed that you haven't been keeping up with it. I'm sure work is keeping you busy. What would it be like to work for an organization that lets you have unlimited PTO so you can work on some of your passion projects? That's a great hook. I may use that later. I don't know if this is my guy. Let me zip over from here to see what questions we have. Okay.
And I believe Nareen will reply to such a message, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we got lots of questions. Lots of questions. I love this. This is good stuff. Let me start with Irma. Irma is looking for a senior actuary consultant or an actuary analyst and somebody who knows retirement, pensions, or defined benefits, and they need to be in Toronto, Canada. Okay, so I'm going to go and okay. So I'm going to go to Indeed.com. And I'm not going to look up a resume on Indeed. That is not what I'm looking for. What I'm looking for is I want to find a company list that employs those individuals, those actuary consultants, and I want to find them in Toronto, Canada. Wait a minute. I may need to go to I may need to go to Indeed CA. Okay, there we go. All right, so it's ca.indeed.com. Don't redirect me. It didn't redirect me. Thank you. All right, because I'm not using a VPN for this. All right. But if I was using a VPN, I would use the McAfee VPN. All right, so let's go and type in actuary or actuarial in Toronto. Okay, I'm not looking for an intern. I'm looking for full-time. All right. I've got AIG, I've got Foresters, I've got Ontario Medical Association. Okay, I'm going to take AIG and Foresters. And I'm going to put in actuarial. I noticed that it converted my OR. Actuarial. And I'm going to go Toronto. I'm going to go Greater Toronto area. And I'm going to pull back. I'm going to start back at the beginning, and I'm going to go site command :ca .linkedin.com/in. I'm going to see what's going on there. I got 618 results. And I just want to see, because this is me, this is how I do everything, is I just go at Gmail. I'm going to spell Gmail correctly. Oh, hello. I got 3 results of people who have a Gmail address. But I think that Jamie Kibble might be our person, that double degree and what have you. So that's kind of how I would start with that search and do some of the activities that are involved in it. I might remove actuarial and just put actuary. I'm going to move Greater Toronto and just put Toronto. Please note, only inside of LinkedIn can use, but you shouldn't use the and. I say can use it because you can use it. But if you start using it there, you're likely to start using it on Google, and Google does not recognize the and command. It hasn't recognized it in about 10 years. Okay, we now have about 4 results of people who have a Gmail address that we can use or we can find. So that's kind of how I would do that search. Let me jump over. What are you saying? Okay, are we Irma? I think that's good. I got to get to the next question. What you were saying at the beginning, the less filters you have in a search, it would be more accurate, since Recruiter, there are a lot of filters. Could you explain that a little bit more? Absolutely. Let's go on to LinkedIn. Okay. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Sorry about internet connectivity. I'm streaming and doing this and doing that, and my daughter is spring breaking on Netflix. All right. So what I was saying is in the search bar, you can put a lot of different terms. You can build a analyst or developer or engineer and Jose, I will definitely do that. Thank you for in-mailing me. And notice it was a message. It was premium open. All right. Analyst or developer or engineer. And I'm just going to do Toronto. All right. So real quick, it gave me the people, right? And I could have made that string really, really long, but it wouldn't advocate or advance all these pages or all these people, right? It would give me people and jobs first, because that's what LinkedIn wants to serve up. But the longer we make this string, the more confusing we make it to free LinkedIn, which means that when we go into this module where we have the ability for all filters, we can filter by first connection. And I said I would show the actively hiring. I'm going to turn that on just because I said I was going to show it. And I'm going to look for people in Toronto, Canada. And I can activate any of these filters that I want to. This is not the part that makes life more confusing. It's simply adding additional search terms in the search bar. Edit search. I'm going to make it, see how I did that. It broke. Engineer. Who's hiring for an engineer in Ontario, Canada? There are a lot of people. Got that purple. I'm hiring for engineers in Canada. That is something that is not going to show up inside a LinkedIn Recruiter or Sales Navigator. But good call out. If I go into LinkedIn Recruiter, it's going to give me 8 additional filters like years of experience, veteran status, things of that nature. I hope that answered the question for you, Samantha. Okay, I'm just trying to answer as many questions as I can before we run out of time. Andrew, do we got a hard stop in 6 minutes, or can we keep going for a little while?
Yeah, we can keep going.
Okay, all right, cool. Tashida, I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. How much of Boolean X-ray search would you use in finding talent when compared to great tools and to save time to a certain extent? I am a big user of Boolean because Boolean is instantaneous. It's real time, right? Like you can adjust the calendar and the clock inside of Google. You can use the Wayback Machine. But if I'm up against a firm deadline, like a hiring manager interview or hiring manager presentation of candidates, what I would do is I would leverage a tool like HireTool or Seek Out. I said HireTool. I meant Hire Easy. I apologize. I'm still caught up in the past. I would leverage a tool like that. I would also, if it's a repetitive search that I'm doing continually or continuously, I would actually build a search alert, or I would build a Google custom search engine, which Andrew and I have already discussed. I'll be back to show everybody how to build a Google custom search engine in the near future. If you need help with that, like I said, Friday afternoons, I'm open. Let's make some time to talk about it. Kushbu, how can we find the contact details like an email on GitHub? Okay, so Kushbu, there is a let's go out to GitHub for a second. I am constantly looking for C++ engineers. This is one of those searches that I constantly watch. But one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the TensorFlow open community, and I'm going to answer your question. I promise. There's a code of conduct. There are all the people that are using this, and they're all the contributors to the code base, right? So I'm randomly going to pick on this guy, Roman Sorokin. Okay. So there is an extension that I use. It's called OctoHR. OCTOHR. How much does it cost? It's free. And what it'll do is it will show me that person's link, that person's email address, if it can find it. It does it for free. There's no limit. There's no credits. There's no this. There's no that. It'll do that. Now, alternatively, I can use their search functionality and say that I want to find in Ukraine somebody who knows Java. Come here. Search. It does all the Boolean for me. Please notice it's got 6,000 results. I'm clicking on Ole. The tool is working. It's loading. It's finding out. There we go. We have Ola Duca at iCloud.com. We have their VMware email address, and we have a notification that lets us know what they're good at and what they've committed to, what they've written on GitHub. So I think that solves the problem of, one, how do I find the person I'm looking for on GitHub? Two, how do I evaluate that they're any good? Three, how do I find their email address? Now, we could always do this little number too, is that we could go /GitHub at Gmail register, and I'm looking for an engineer that has a resume with LLM experience. And it brings me back 85 people who have Gmail addresses that are an engineer that have a resume with LLM experience. Okay, so we've got that. Kushbu, thank you. Really good question. Brian, Steve, what's going on, Steve in Minneapolis? Steve, you were great the other day on Hire Easy's session. They saved the best for last. I'm still okay. Thanks. Great content. Awesome, sir. Okay. Is there a difference in sending out messages to people in groups on mobile and PC? Recently seeing, instead of the message option, asking to connect. Is there a change or update in that? It's always going to prompt you to connect. LinkedIn wants connection requests. They want to make sure that you're validated in that respect. About sending messages on mobile and on PC, the place where that difference is most profound is when you're sending a message on Facebook, right? In Facebook Messenger. Is if I reach out to a candidate on Facebook Messenger on desktop, it goes into their spam filter. But if I reach out to them on mobile, it goes into their mobile feed immediately and they get that message. So Jose, that's a great question. If you want to send a group message to people on mobile, you've got the optionality to do so. With that though, is going to it's simply going to deliver that ping much quicker. I don't run LinkedIn Recruiter on my mobile phone. I want peace of mind, and I want to connect with people outside of their junk mail folder. Okay. Thank you, Jose. Itzel, would you recommend using the seniority level in Boolean? Example, manager or director? Absolutely. So let's do that real quick, my friend. Is that I said I wasn't going to use this command, but I'm going to go file type. And I'm going to look for a PDF that is a resume. And it is for a manager or director. And I'm going to do a manager or director of hospitality or engineering or data science. Weird science. And I've got about 11. Oh, wait, I need to do this. I didn't do this, is that at the end, put minus example, minus sample, minus jobs, because the minus stands as the not symbol. I don't want any examples. I don't want any samples. I don't want any jobs. Okay, that makes it much easier. Oh, look at this. You guys want to see something cool? You can go inside somebody's Amazon locker. You can go inside their cloud. We're going to pull out. They don't even know we're here. They don't even know we're here. Shh! Don't tell nobody. Okay, secret. All right, there we go. We got a manager. We found their resume. I use Boolean search for that. Okay, cool. All right, shh! Nobody tell. Everybody quiet. Especially you, Andrew. No talking. All right.
Okay, that's our secret.
All right. Jose, is there a difference sending out messages? Okay, I read that. Is there a change or update on that? Recently seeing, you can send out the message a bunch of different ways. It's all about the inbox that you want it to end up in. Do you want it to end up in the notifications tab for Grow, Grow, or do you want it to show up in the inbox? Because after they accept in Grow, it will then convert to the inbox and begin that conversation. Irma, do you recommend that we get a premium account if we already have a LinkedIn Recruiter account? It's $79 a year is what I think I pay for it. I don't really, when I look for people that are hiring, the reason I'm looking for people that are hiring is I think that there's a gap on the team and that they've got to hire to fill the gap. Because there's a gap on the team means that people are working extra hard to deliver that thing that they're trying to deliver. So I can go in and figure out who's on that team and say something to the effect of, I know the work that you do is hard. You're probably spread thin right now. If you're not spread too thin, I'd really like to have a conversation with you about where you could take your career next. Are you open to a conversation that would involve unlimited PTO? Right? Things like that, like pulling those different levers. Samantha, thank you. Tashida, I still think that I'm mispronouncing your name. I apologize. Okay, you guys got to go to another meeting. Andrew, thank you and the team at Matchr for hosting this. Like, you guys are awesome at what you do. Everybody should give you guys a chance. Connect with Adrian, connect with Andrew. Adrian is the founder of Matchr. He's a friend. He asked me to be here today. I'm grateful that I was here, and I'm grateful that I could be part of this conversation. Andrew, anything else that I need to do besides thank you and Deal for making this happen?
Brian, thank you very much for participating. And I want to share that only the opening session, so during opening session, Balazs had so many questions from our audience. He was like on exam. And now the closing session, the same thing. We have so many questions. I think it's a record for us.
Well, awesome. I'm glad to have been part of this. And thank you so much. Please continue to carry on, be strong, and may your strength continue to increase. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye. So it was the last episode of the Power of Sourcing of this year. Thank you very much for attending, for being with us. But I want to announce that next week we will have special session, one additional session with Deal, they will present their service. I will announce this session separately. Follow us on YouTube, on LinkedIn, stay connected, and we are already working on future sessions that will be in autumn. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.